Well, hi, and welcome to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about some recent videos that were posted by Uncle Tony's Garage talking about how modern cars are essentially disposable. And I can tell you that he is not wrong. I work in a automotive repair field, and I'm seeing many of the same things that he was talking about in his videos. If you haven't seen his videos, I'll link them down below. But what we're seeing is cars are becoming absurdly complex. There are so many electronics on them now, and stuff that's difficult to diagnose, and calibrations that need to be done that you can't possibly do at home yourself, that are all driving up the cost of car repair. The other thing that he did not touch upon, but which I see frequently now, is the availability of parts. Manufacturers used to do a decent job of supplying parts for cars over a period of time. Now, there is this theory that there's a law that manufacturers have to supply parts for cars for 10 years. Not true. There is no law like that. If you go to Steve Leto's channel on YouTube, and he has a video where he debunks that. And I can see it in my line of work that there is no limit. They can stop making parts tomorrow if they want to. And what we used to see was we could usually get stuff for, 8-10 years. It was kind of a handshake agreement with the public that that's what they would do for most of the time. It's not true anymore. We're seeing cars that are 6 years old we can't get stuff for anymore. We're seeing cars that are super common, like Ford F-150s, that may be old, early 2000s, mid 2000s. We can't buy headlights for them anymore from Ford. You can get aftermarket ones, but, if you wanted the real thing, you can't get it. And it's an F-150. They made 1 million of them. They're still on the road. Why are we not selling parts for these cars? You can't buy a grill. You can't buy a bumper. It's ridiculous. So that's become a real problem. I have seen cars with insurance claims become totaled because we can't get parts. Not that they're just on intergalactic back order, which also happens, but that they're done. They are marked as discontinued, and if there's not one sitting on a dealer shelf someplace, you're not going to get it. And it's not just weird stuff like, a bracket for something. We're talking about commonly used parts. So the manufacturers don't want to sell you parts. They don't want to have your car get serviced when it becomes X number of years old. I'm thinking outside the warranty period, probably. They want you to buy a new car. And they also want you to have to go back to the dealership because the dealers make money on service. They don't make money selling cars, weirdly enough. There's not that much markup in new cars. So they want to try to keep their dealers appeased, so they force you to go back to the dealership and pay $180 or more per hour labor instead of going down to your corner garage guy and paying, $120 maybe or less. So they're not interested in getting your car fixed, and they look at these things now as disposable. They're figuring that you're just going to replace it after the warranty period is up or a few years after that. You're going to come back and buy another new car. The sad fact is not everybody can buy new cars. I've never purchased a new car in my entire life, and so I'm not their target audience. I rely on used cars because I don't want to pay all this money that you have to pay now to get a new car. I mean, have you priced a pickup truck lately? It's insane. So I buy used stuff. I let the first owner take the depreciation hit. It's a video I would like to do sometime soon about how I came to have 4 motorcycles and 3 cars and a paid-off house by the time I was 55. Because I didn't buy new cars every 3 years. That's one of the reasons. Anyhow, off topic. So I have an 06 Mustang, is the newest car that I own, that I drive myself. Now, I do have a newer car for my spouse, and I'll probably continue to have to buy newer cars for her only because of the use that it gets and the fact that she's not going to be on top of things if something goes wrong, like I would be with either of these. So I'm down to one newer car purchase every so many years. We keep them for usually about 5-6 years. I used to buy cars with 100,000 miles on them because people were thinking that, oh, 100,000 miles, it's worn out. Not the case, obviously. Now I am going back and buying them with lower miles because I want to get out of those cars sooner because I don't want to own them when they become 120, 150, 180,000 mile cars like I was able to do before because they're not meant to be serviced. At least not by mere mortals here in the private world. They do want you to go back to the dealership, but again, only for so many years. I wonder if we might start to see the car repairs at the dealer doing what they happen to do at motorcycle dealerships. And what that is typically if you have Harley Davidson, let's say, and you go to a dealer, but your Harley Davidson is 15 or 18 years old, they won't work on it. They usually have signs posted that they won't work on anything older than 10 years, and sometimes it's even fewer years than that. And I'm thinking that maybe we're going to start to see that coming at new car dealerships where they'll no longer touch anything that's older than 6, 7, 8 years old. Where do you go then? The aftermarket's struggling to get the information they need. Companies like Tesla don't want to share it. John Deere doesn't want to share it. Had a big court lawsuit thing going on with them. They all just want to sell you a new product. And I am not interested in any new cars made after about 2010. Just not. They're all ugly. They're all too expensive. I can't work on them. I don't really have an interest in working on them. They're just not interesting vehicles. Sure, they're faster, they brake better, they handle better. I get all that. But no, don't care. Not going to participate. So I have to suffer with my spouse's vehicle, and I try to buy the most reliable vehicle I can. She's currently got a Honda. But me, that '06 Mustang, I am hoping that it will last me the rest of my driving years. I don't drive it every day. Right now I have a company car, so I am cheating, I'll admit. So that's going to last me a lot longer. But it's got 111,000, I think, on it now. And if I maintain it and spread my driving out between the other cars that I have, it should go the distance. But that's where we are. Manufacturers don't care about anybody that has an out-of-warranty car, and brand loyalty is really a kind of a thing of the past. I don't know where this heads. I'll say every generation feels like the generation that they were in or the one before had the cars that were the easiest to work on. I grew up during the malaise period, so I saw the influx of emission controls and electronic feedback carburetors and all that kind of stuff. We survived that. We got into the 80s, and we've pretty much written cars off back in that time period too. Performance cars are dead. There's nothing out there. Everything's boring. Minivans are now the new thing. And then we got to see little things like Dodge came out with the Charger 2.2. I owned one of those. I'm not proud of that. But that was a big deal because it would accelerate from 0 to 55, because you couldn't say 0 to 60 during that time period, in how many seconds, and it was quicker than most of the other stuff out there. So, wow, performance cars are coming back, right? Even if they are 4-cylinders or 4-cylinder turbos. And eventually things got better. They figured out how to get decent emissions and fuel economy out of, Fox Mustangs and things like that it didn't slaughter the corporate average fuel economy. I think we've reached the point where we've pushed the ICE engine as far as we can possibly push it for emissions and fuel economy. I don't think we're going to see much more improvement there. It's probably at its pinnacle. So they are coming up with all these other ridiculous ways to try to get the cafe up. And of course, electric cars play into that. I don't hate electric cars. I'm like Uncle Tony. They have their place. They have their buyers, but they're not for everybody, and they're not going to replace ICE engined cars. But going forward, it's dismal. These cars are not meant to be fixed. They're not going to provide parts for them. People aren't going to be restoring them. I'm pretty confident in saying that. Of course, we thought they weren't going to restore newer cars than, these, but now people are restoring 70s, 80s, and sometimes 90s cars. At any rate, that's my take as somebody who's currently working in the automotive field, that he is absolutely right. These cars are not meant to be worked on. They're not meant to be kept for long periods of time. And the information and parts availability for the independent garage or private owner is simply not there. I'm done. I'm calling it quits. 2010 is my cutoff. After that, I don't care. So I'll be an anorak and live in the past. Maybe you will too. Comment below. Let me know how it looks to you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.